I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High.
But in the kingdom, we're going to have that power like the angels, but we're going to be what you call extraterrestrial. In other words, we're not going to be regular terrestrial like we are right now. Because what happened is, in the ancient world, we had that power. We had that power when we were on a level like gods. But what happened is, the Most High took that power from us. Over the generations and over the years, the Lord took that power from us. But we're going to get that back. We're going to get that power back coming into the kingdom.
I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, saith the Lord. But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither hath entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit.
When we think about the kingdom, most brothers think of like the small, minute terms. But the vastness of the kingdom, the greatness of the kingdom, dealing with the knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and the information alone that we're going to receive when we get to the kingdom, that's on a whole nother level. Never mind the riches and the lands and the women and the children, and to be in your chariot, sipping some yayan, on your chalice, your gold chalice with all them rubies and emeralds and sapphires and the different precious stones, going to places.
But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit.
No one, no matter how vivid a brother's imagination is, there's nothing in comparison to what's coming. You can't even imagine. You can't even paint it the picture or write it to words or give an explanation that even comes close to the majesty that's coming. We are destined for greatness in the new righteous kingdom.
But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit.
The brother with the most vivid imagination out there can't imagine what the kingdom of heaven has in store, what it's going to be like. What we're basing the kingdom of heaven as far as riches and having a good time and things of that nature is just based off of our experiences in this world and what we think having a good time is and living the life is. Thou wilt show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand, pleasures forevermore. There are pleasures forevermore at thy right hand. So the kingdom that's coming is going to be set up and established in righteousness. The Israelites are going to be changed. Thy people shall be all righteous. Not one Israelite is going to be lost, because the promise that the Most High made to Abraham was to all that seed. And the seed of the promise went from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. Every seed that came out of Jacob is a part of the ones that are going to receive the benefits that the Most High promised to bless Abraham.
The transfer of rulership is coming, and the kingdom of heaven will be on earth. Righteousness will be spread throughout the whole four corners of the earth. Wickedness will be put down. According to the Holy Scriptures, Yahweh Shai, the Son of the Most High, is set to bring immortality to the nation of Israel, the elect, via establishing the tabernacle of David, as we talk about the second coming of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. He is coming to take down this current world ruled by Esau, Edom, and establish a righteous kingdom, which is synonymous with the throne of David. That's scriptural, which is a government that's going to run this world in righteousness.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kakodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders, GMS, who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds. In the name of Yahweh Bashem Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners, whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Shai. All right, another edition of morning news and prophecy, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Shai, the water, to the Heavenly Father through his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, for the inspiration, all right, to teach his word, with truth and understanding and sincerity, okay? And I want to get into this morning, the devil at work, all right, dealing with propaganda, as we know, a few days ago, all right, you had this incident, with this Afghanistan nationalist, all right, Afghani nationalist, so-called, okay, that he, shot 2 National Guard, okay, officers, okay, in D.C., not too far from the White House, okay. You had conflicting reports about, both of them died and both of them was in critical condition, then one of them died, and, all over the place, okay. But at the end of the day, all right, we got to understand that this is nothing but another psyop of the devil, all right. And when these stories happen, you have to allow, certain things to unfold and see, all right, which way he pivots out these situations, okay, because that was the play before the situation, okay. See what they're hyping up, see, the talking points that they're using, okay, which we know they're going to always use division, they calling out Biden, which nothing but a buzzword to trigger, the alt-right, okay, and the left, to clash and argue about nothing, okay. But then also we know the devil wants to implement more technology, okay, into the way he polices, okay, society, okay, the way he polices the citizen. He wants to incorporate more technology, okay. So we're gonna go over a few things. I want to go here into the book of Psalms first. I always lay the foundation, precepts, at the water. To you brothers, all right, you few sisters tuning in, and may, all right, you be edified. Now this is the book of Psalm 64:1. It says, "Hear my voice, O power, and my complaint. Guard my life from the terror of the enemy." From the terror of the enemy. Okay, and this is speaking of Esau, Edom. As our great forefather, King David. All right, he was making a request, for protection. And see, we need to be protected in these times, man. We need, all right, mercy. We need the Lord to lift a standard, You see, these are the things that's vital for the situation that we're in, is the Lord's mercy. Okay, that's why I say we're not occupied in the gimmicks and the games, the non-stop gossip and the madness that Jake got going on. Nah, man, we need mercy. You see, we need a standard lifted. All right, because this devil, okay, he's getting ready to terrorize the earth, man. The Lord is getting ready to turn this devil loose, okay, to terrorize the earth, man. And we pray that we're in good standings with our power, all right, to be protected in this, man. Okay, it says, hide me from the secret counsel and the conspiracy of the ungodly, from the scheming of those who do wrong. Okay, and these secret counsel, all right, begins with these elites. It trickled down to, the super rich, these tech corporations. All right, then it trickled down to these politicians, which are nothing but puppets, okay, and underlings, okay, of these secret councils. You see, there's secret councils that Donald Trump is not in. There's secret councils that Elon Musk is not in. Okay, they get briefed on, all right, what was determined in those councils. They get their marching orders, and then they push those marching orders downhill. Okay, and they're always plotting and scheming to do something, man. He's all over the place, which that's why scripture said, well, he's weary. Okay, let's go here. This devil is weary in his counsel. Okay, because it's the same counsel of Isaiah 47, this secret counsel. Okay, the elites, they're witches and warlocks and left-hand priests. Okay, but you go to Isaiah 47. Okay. Isaiah 47 and 12 will say, persist then, Babylon, in your enchantments, okay, and your many sorceries with which you have labored from your youth, because this place was established on witchcraft. They give you these Hollywood stories of these different characters, Mount Rushmore, and the perseverance, the Edomite male, to establish America, the hardworking, white, okay, Christian, Edomite male that just established this place with, morals. And no, this place was founded on witchcraft. Okay, that's why the whole DC layout is based off of Freemason architecture, which is number Satanism, Statue of Liberty, Satanism. All these things go back to Satanism, man. Okay, and what these devils, all right, have done now, they have brought these sorceries and enchantments to the forefront. Okay, and it says, which you have labored from your youth, perhaps you will be able to profit from them. Perhaps you may prevail and cause trembling. And this is what this devil is trying to do. Okay, he's trying to prevail through these enchantments. You see, and he's able to enchant on another level with AI. Okay, so what this devil is doing, he's going to pull out all the stops to try to stand with his enchantments, man. Okay, because that's what has carried him thus far. That what has given him the edge, okay, to rule, in this kingdom was these enchantments. Even when you go into the military, all right, is highly satanic, okay, and saturated with witchcraft. The higher up you get in the ranks, okay, it says, verse 13 says, you are wearied by many counsels. So this devil is having counsel to do what he's doing. He's having counsel after counsel. All right, this devil is busy. You see, the spirit of Yahweh Shai that's in the earth has this man busy. Okay, that he's wearied in his counsel. He's having many counsels on what to do next and how to do this. And okay, they own to this. They expose that. Let's do this. Let's pivot here. Let's do this. Okay, so this devil is having many counsels. Okay, it says you are weary, or it says what? Or struggle with plans. Okay, in the footnote it says or struggle with plans. Okay, because this devil got a lot going on. This man trying to put data centers in the space and the water. All right, he's trying to pull off a psyop to, justify more technology and you see more troops on the ground. Okay, war with a new country every month. You know, it's just like he's having a hard time, man. Okay, it says the stargazers, those who predict by the new moons each month, stand up and save you from the things that will come upon you, Babylon, man. Okay, and there's nothing the devil can do that can wiggle out, okay, of his judgment and prophecy, man. You know, but this devil thinks that through his technology, he's found some type of loophole. Okay, so we're going to continue to see this man go all in, you know, pour everything into, okay, trying to pull this off with his technology, man. Okay, so yeah, and we'll come back to that. Come, bro, yeah, them think tanks, you know, they just got them niggas just snorting cocaine and watching video screens everywhere. Okay, finished trying to figure it out. You know, let's go here. All right, like you see people like Genesis teaching all nations can be saved. The least are desperate. Okay, that also shows desperation. We got the, when somebody gets desperate, you got their ass, man. You know, and the elites are these niggas are desperate. Someone desperate is impulsive and dangerous. All right, why he just gonna be like a madman, sparing none. You know, so let's play this. Let me fast forward a little bit. So we just listen to how these devils speak and what they say, and that lets you know, okay, the propaganda that's at work. You know what the play was from the beginning.
Done, because this is a call for an uprising.
Breaking news just coming into us in the last maybe 90 seconds or so. A suspect has now apparently been identified in that shooting of 2 National Guard troops in D.C. I want to bring in our national law enforcement and intelligence correspondent, Tom Winter. All right, Tom, bring us up to speed.
Yeah, Hallie, 4 senior U.S. law enforcement officials briefed on the investigation say they've identified the man they believe is responsible for shooting of those 2 National Guardsmen who are now in critical condition. They've identified the individual as Rob Manula Lockenwall. Date of birth is February 9th, 1996. Last known address is in Bellingham, Washington. This individual was identified through, he did not have an ID on him. We have a photo of him being put into a stretcher, had been stripped of his clothing or had very limited clothing, apparently at the time of this incident occurring, as he targeted these 2 National Guardsmen, used a handgun to commit it. Apparently he's an Afghan national. I was still trying to get some details on his immigration history, but they were able to use a kind of a rapid fingerprint type technology that is completely electronic. So take out of your heads kind of the Law and Order version where they put the ink on your fingers and check from there. This is all digital. And we're able to check that again. Had been stripped of his clothing or had very limited clothing, apparently at the time of this incident occurring, as he targeted these 2 National Guardsmen, used a handgun to commit it. Apparently he's an Afghan national. I was still trying to get some details on his
Yeah, so what I want y'all to pay attention to, is the what they spoke about, the digital, okay, fingerprint technology. Okay, they say rapid digital fingerprint technology. Okay. They plant these little seeds of what the propaganda was, what the agenda was. Okay, so now they're saying, look, because of this technology, because this rapid digital technology, we was able to identify this guy, trace him back to Afghani nationalists, okay, which, links back to, terrorism, you see? So just listen, to the things that they're going to, throw out there, okay? Because this was the agenda before this event happened, was to, all right, market, okay, digital technology, okay, and, to glorify, all right, the use of more technology within law enforcement, okay, because they want a digital police state, okay? So let's play some more.
Immigration history, but they were able to use a kind of a rapid fingerprint type technology that is completely electronic. So take out of your heads kind of the Law and Order version where they put the ink on your fingers and check from there. This is all digital, and we're able to check that against the database and come up with this individual's identification. Having seen a photo that we're still trying to confirm of this person and a photo of this person that was on the stretcher, they do appear to be the same individual. So again, Rob Manula Lockenwall from Bellingham, Washington, an Afghan national born in 1996, is the person that the FBI now believes is responsible for this. And as we've been reporting, and as NBC News was first to report tonight, in fact, the FBI is investigating this initially as a potential act of terrorism. Of course, motives can change in the course of the investigation. They can look into that. But at least initially here, this is going to be led by the Joint Terrorism Task Force in Washington, D.C. And this information is now being shared with law enforcement agencies, we're told, across the country, just given the fact that they want to check up on all these things. Certainly officials here in New York are aware of this information. We're told from officials in D.C. Because they wanted people in the law enforcement agencies here in New York to be aware of who this person was, to see if there's any ties, anybody they need to check, with tomorrow being the 99th Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Right now, there is not believed to be any sort of specific or credible threat to that, according to an NYPD briefing.
Tom, can I ask you something? And I don't want us to get over our skis here on this, but you point out that the last known location of the suspect was in Washington State, obviously across the country from Washington, D.C. Is there any reason to believe, on the basis of the sources you're talking to, that this individual traveled across the country for the purpose of carrying out this attack? Had they already been, spending time or living in D.C. for a little bit? Do we not know?
And also, when you follow the devil's narrative, okay, so he drove from Washington State. Okay, let's think about it. He drove from Washington State. So they're saying that he drove all the way across the country. Okay, so now the narrative is, well, how did he get all the way from across the country? Okay, undetected. Why does he have that freedom to move? Why do they have this freedom to move so freely? Why does he have this liberty to move so freely? Okay, all the way across the country. Drove all the way from Washington State to Washington, D.C. Okay, completely across the country. All right, to shoot, 2 National Guard. Well, wait a minute. Has the National Guard been heavy in Oregon? Okay. I mean, Oregon, the National Guard dealing with Oregon, hasn't that been, okay, a headline in the media? Okay. So why would he, if his thing was to, okay, commit an act, okay, of terrorism, okay, he was targeting National Guard, why would he drive way across the country to go to D.C. by the White House? All right, the most protected estates in the country. You see? So they got so many ways they can spin this. Like people got too much free range to move around. And they're going to talk about, they're going to go into some technology, all right, that was tracking him from Washington to Washington State to Washington, D.C., So let's play some more.
probably the number one question that they're trying to figure out at this time. Check back on travel schedules, figure out how this person got there. They do have information as far as their driver's license and vehicle. They'll check that. There's obviously license plate readers. We've seen that come into such use by law enforcement over the past several years. And just this year, you look at New Year's Day, that information was so helpful in trying to determine the location and how the individual that attacked New Orleans.
So you seeing how helpful they're marketing this technology is helpful, and we're going to, delve into that technology that he's speaking of. But you see how they're marketing this technology is so helpful, even going back to what happened in New Orleans at the beginning of the year. Okay, the guys, driving into the crowd. I believe it was on Bourbon Street or Canal. All right, but either way, and we'll remember New Orleans too, because we're gonna visit New Orleans. All right, and link it with this technology as well. But let's let it play some more.
New Year's Day, and also remember the incident at the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. That individual had an incendiary device that arrived at the hotel there. They were able to trace that person's travels through the license plate reader and get an identification. So all of that, Hallie, will go into the investigation. But you've asked the question that law enforcement is desperately trying to figure out at this hour.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I shouldn't have to do videos talking about supposed events that occur that are clearly psyops. But we have to cover these types of things because there's people that believe that the news and the stories on the news are actually real. They don't realize that by creating events like this, it plays into all the current narratives that are out there. Narratives about immigration and illegals, giving the government the ability to track more people digitally using technology like Palantir so that they could see inside your phone and see what you're doing and where you're from, and maybe even force people to have digital IDs, because guess what? That's one of the government's most important agendas. And then you could tie into the fact that the government wants to bring in more National Guard. And you look at these stories and you just say, you shouldn't even have to discuss with people how fake these things are. But you do, because people believe that these events really occur. Then they say, well, how could they fake something like that? Well, it'd be pretty easy, right? Because I'll show you some of the people interviewed on the streets who just supposedly heard bang, bang, as if they have to be gunshots. The government couldn't use the National Guard to fire fake rounds, to fire blanks, to simulate the sound of a gunshot and then roll around on the ground and pretend they were shot, close down the roads, and then roll these guys out on stretchers and give you an instant narrative about an illegal from Afghanistan who supposedly drove, as you heard in that video, from all the way in Washington to the East Coast so that he could shoot two people that he doesn't know just because they're in the National Guard, right? Where's the motive? No motive whatsoever. He just wanted to go and shoot the National Guard people. And then they want to tell you on the news how he was in Washington originally, how they found that out immediately, all these locations that he's been, because they're getting you prepared for the flock technology they're already using to get you to accept it and say, oh, that's great that we're able to track his car and track his movements illegally, right? So that we can know where he was and all these times if he had something else planned, or his friends have anything planned. Can we track them as well? Can we track any other Afghan illegals? How about we track all of them? How about we just track everybody? And we tell you that it's perfectly normal and perfectly legal for us to do these things because we can prevent crimes. Next thing you know, pre-crime in play as well. So
real quick, let's go into, because you said that flock safety technology. Okay, what is that? All right, so you go into it and see they're already rolling these things out. These things are already being set up. Okay, and it doesn't matter if it's illegal or not. Okay, based off of let's go here. All right. It doesn't matter if it goes against the constitutional surveillance. It doesn't matter. All right. They can stop. People that still talk about the Constitution, look, y'all are behind. Okay. They've been stopped caring about that. Okay. It says how digital surveillance could help law enforcement. So I said, could a digital police state help law enforcement crack down on crime and terrorism? Okay. It says a digital police state could make it easier, okay, for law enforcement to detect, prevent, and solve, all right, some crimes, but only by sacrificing civil liberties, privacy, and democratic accountability. Okay, so they need to scare people into sacrificing more civil liberties, okay, privacy, and democratic accountability. Okay, that's why everything is being given over to the corporation, the tech corporations. Tech corporations don't have to ask for permission because you know this is national security. Okay, when they throw their term out, national security, that means they can bypass, all right, the Congress, the Senate, the law, the Constitution. They can bypass that because this is a national security, okay, situation. Okay, so that's why they run with the narrative of domestic terrorism. We're going to show you that they're hyping it up. Okay, I got another video I want to go into, but it says how digital surveillance can help law enforcement. A government with extensive digital monitoring, all right, powers might gain, okay, faster detection of threats, continuous monitoring of online activity, communications, metadata, and travel patterns can help identify organized crime networks, trafficking operations, terrorism plots, cyber attacks. Patterns that normally take months to uncover could be flagged automatically. And it's all through AI. More evidence for investigation, broad access to CCTV with facial recognition, location tracking, financial data, device metadata would allow investigators to piece together timeless and identify suspects more quickly. Prevention, all right, preventive intervention, AI-driven analysis, all right, can detect, all right, anomalies or suspicious behavior in real time, potentially preventing attacks before they happen. All right, so they're, using these events, okay, these psyops to sway people, okay, that more technology is needed to keep them safe, okay, which will allow them to continue to roll out the digital prison, okay, at your request, okay, to roll out your digital prison at your request. So you're going to keep, seeing certain events happen, okay, that makes it make sense for them. All right, and they're going to make it seem like it makes sense for you, for them, okay, to incorporate more AI technology, all right, within law enforcement. Okay, now you have this, what they call flock safety. You see the picture he showed. All right, so here's a breakdown of what flock safety is and how its AI powered surveillance system works and what, all right, controversies surround it. What is flock safety? Flock Safety is a U.S. based company founded in 2017 and headquartered in Atlanta. It provides security hardware and software, notably automated license plate readers, video surveillance cameras, and gunshot audio detection system. All right, gunshot audio. Okay, mainly to law enforcement agencies, homeowners association (HOAs). Okay, so subdivisions, businesses, and property managers. Flock claims to operate in thousands of communities across the United States. How their system works. Flock cameras are typically solar power, motion activated, infrastructure light, okay, part of the DPI, digital, all right, public infrastructure, which allows them to be installed on roadsides and neighborhood entrances or other strategic locations. When a vessel, all right, when a vehicle passes by, the camera takes a high resolution photo of the rear or relevant view. All right, the system uses computer vision, machine learning, AI, to read license plates and also note vehicle features, make, model, color, body type, distinctive traits like damage. Okay, so aftermarket alterations. Okay, so Trayvon, all right, with the Crown Vic with no bumper. Okay, and the donut, they got it down pat. Okay, it's in the database. You see, it says the captured data includes plate number if present, plate state, time, and location of the scan, and that metadata is stored in the database. The system then automatically compares recorded plates, vehicle dates with law enforcement database such as National Crime Information Center, all right, NCIC, okay, and state local hot lists, okay, for stolen cars, wanted vehicles, sending real-time alerts to police if matches found. So you have this system, all right, which is available to law enforcement, okay, and they presenting, you got residential like property managers and HOAs, homeowners association that's getting these contracts with these flock systems, okay, which are linked to, all right, databases, okay, of law enforcement, man. You see? So these devils already have these things in progress, okay? They're just trying to get more public approval to bring these things to the forefront. Well, these things are already in place, okay, to where they can read your license plate from one side of the country to the other, okay? Know where you've been real time, okay? They have every little ding and scratch you got on your car. Well, that's in the database, okay? So let's go to this video to show you now from this incident. Let's go here. Play a few minutes, this first few minutes. I really want to show you that these devils even now talking about a travel ban, okay, based on this incident. So let's play this.
Well, I wish I could tell you things were only getting better. However, they might be getting worse. And now we're hearing that major U.S. cities around the United States are on high alert. And many citizens are fearful of what's coming because, according to experts, U.S. troops are ready to be deployed here inside the United States. But why? Well, it all has to do with one attack and one possible or potential attack that was actually disrupted. Just this past week, we learned that the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI arrested a person that said and was planning on TikTok to put a bomb somewhere in Fort Worth, Texas. They arrested that person on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, we learned that somebody shot 2 National Guardsmen just steps from the White House. Now, both of these suspects were Afghan nationals that were brought in under a Biden policy. Okay, that right there has the Trump administration saying that these people were not vetted correctly. As a result, we could see the Trump administration go after these specific individuals. Look at this. It says Trump highlights federal law granting presidential powers to halt immigration as crackdown escalates. What has essentially happened is the Trump administration is pausing all immigration from specific countries. I want to show you something, okay? Look at this right here. I want you to watch this. Again, this is extremely important.
State Department announced it has immediately paused visa issuance for individuals traveling on Afghan passports. While the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services said in a post on X that asylum decisions would be paused until, quote, we can ensure that every alien is vetted and screened to the maximum degree possible. The director of the agency said he was directed by the president to conduct a full-scale, rigorous re-examination of every green card holder from every country of concern. And the president himself has pledged to permanently pause migration from third world countries. And we did work to clarify what third world countries and countries of concern mean. According to the USCIS, the 19 countries on the map are included in this group. The Department of Homeland Security said this week the states have never been higher for what they're calling re-migration.
Okay. So they're saying that the stakes have never been higher. Now, I want to show you something. Okay. These are the countries that are on pretty much they're going to re-examine. All right. Now, here's the problem that we're going to face. And I'm going to explain why these countries are specifically important to us in certain cities here in the United States. But these are the 19 countries, okay, that we're going to start with. And then we're going to expand. Okay. But here's what you need to know. According to the Department of Homeland Security, that the Trump and the USCIS, they're going to vet and screen to the maximum degree possible. But according to experts, they are saying that we cannot just vet and screen the new people coming in. We have to vet and screen the ones that are already here. Now, this is where things are going to be extremely concerning.
All right, so they want to vet and screen the people that's already here. Okay, and they're starting off with so-called, immigrants. Okay, that's going to be the beginning of the process. You see, and now they're saying that people must, they call re-immigration. They got to come back, check back in, get scanned and get vetted. Okay, which there will be an absolutely a shit show. But what will make these things easier? Okay, if these people just had a digital ID. So don't be surprised if they spring a digital ID on these people that have to be re-immigrated, as they're saying. Okay, to get that system rolling out. Okay, because they can start with these immigrants. Okay, and then they can just segue. They can cause another event to happen. Okay, and segue, all right, into regular citizens, man. All in the name of crime prevention. Okay, extremists, terrorism. Okay, so let's let it play some more. They telling you what how they react is what their agenda is before, the psyop. Their reaction shows you what their agenda is before the psyops, man. Okay.
Okay. I want to show you this map or this chart here. Okay. So the countries of concern: Cuba, Haiti, Venezuela, Sierra Leone, Equatorial Guinea, Republic of Congo, Togo, Chad, Libya, Eritrea, Sudan, Burundi, Somalia, Yemen, Iran, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Burma, and Laos. Those are the 19 countries of concern. But here's where things are getting even bigger. And this is how we really bring it back to the United States. What we are hearing, okay, listen to this. This person says, unfortunately, the only way to properly do the vetting is to bring people back in and go through the new vetting process, the Trump process. The problem the Trump administration will face is that nobody will want to voluntarily go through the vetting again with the risk of being deported. Instead, they will likely hide, meaning we must go out there and find them to ensure that the U.S. is safe. This will be a big problem from all angles. Okay, well, what?
Because who's going to voluntarily, come back to be re-immigrated? Okay. So yeah, they can spend it, a lot of ways. Are they going to hide, ICE? Will there be more troops needed, to go find these immigrants to be re-immigrated? Okay. Will there be another avenue they can use to, lengthen, the chain of ICE? Okay. So this devil, he's setting it up, okay, to where he can incorporate more technology, okay, and more manpower, okay, into this digital police state. Okay, he's gradually turning America into a digital police state without trying to cause, great alarm. Okay, and under the banner that is for public safety. Okay, and crime prevention. You see, these people need to be identified. That's the problem. These people need to be identified. Okay.
Cities are on high alert as a result of this. If this expert's saying that we have to go out there and find the people to bring them in, to vet them and screen them, and then we can let them back into the United States. Here are the cities on high alert. They say Miami. There's more than 2 million Cuban nationals in Miami. In Doral, Florida, that's roughly 40% of their population is Venezuelan. Houston and New York City also have high percentages of Venezuelans as well. Los Angeles, California has over 700,000 Iranians. So they say that, again, that's a problem as well. And then the bigger problem is, how do we get into California without people from California or Gavin Newsom pushing back on the Trump administration? Again, this is an issue. Miami and the Fort Lauderdale area, New York and New Jersey area, and the Boston area have more than 600,000 Haitians. So I say that right there, if Haiti is a concern, then we need to go and find these people so we can vet them, screen them, and then we can let them back into the country.
And that's Haiti, okay, Southern Kingdom, man, and they always and they're gonna see. It's not just gonna be limited to the northern tribes, okay? Because even when they talk about Iranians, they're not going rounding up Iranians, okay? They're rounding up Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom, okay? That's what the emphasis has been on, okay? So they play a little more.
We'd feel a little bit safer. Again, how exactly is this going to work? And then we got Fremont, California has the largest population of Afghans. Detroit, Michigan has the largest Yemeni population with around 25,000. New Orleans has the largest Honduran population, followed by the Vietnamese. Again,
now, New Orleans, they mentioned New Orleans again. Now, real quick, dealing with the New Orleans police force. Okay, and you look into let me see, is it this one? All right, so I asked it because I remember one video I was watching that spoke about New Orleans. I said, "Does New Orleans police force use Palantir technology? All right, which is AI software. That combines multiple platforms onto one database. Okay." It says, good question. Here's a breakdown of what is known as of recently about whether New Orleans Police Department, has used Palantir technology. From 2012, through 2018, NOPD did use Palantir software. This was a predictive policing program in which Palantir's data analysis tools were used to try to identify people at high risk of committing or being victimized by gun violence, man. So who you think this was a test run for? Okay, this is 2012, 2018. They're doing a test run on Jake. Okay, it says based on a mixture of criminal history, gang association, social network data. Okay, you see that? And see, that's why they have all this software, okay, all the social media to make it seem as if it's a platform of networking. Okay, but it's an information grab, all right, for these data centers, man. Okay, and these different software, all right, especially Palantir. Because what Palantir does, it just combines all these software. It combines Meta, all right, Facebook, X, okay, YouTube, okay, Rumble, whatever can be published or, okay, put on the internet. All right, it can be um uh it can be it can be condensed, consolidated. Yeah, it can be consolidated to these Palantir, okay, networks and data centers, okay, linked with the government, linked with police enforcement, linked with military, okay. So New Orleans has already been, is already a training, okay. It says social media, criminal records, field interviews, ballistics, data, jail calls for service, and use social analysis to flag individuals with links to known and suspected gang members or violent incidents, man. So this is, this was all used for Jake. All right, this Palantir, okay, software that was used in New Orleans. Okay, according to the public records and reported from 2018, the program was secretive. Many city officials and even some city council members were unaware it existed. Okay, but they don't need permission from city council officials. Okay, this is the government that's doing this. Okay, and big tech has all the leeway. Okay, and more. All right, these big tech companies are getting more and more under Trump. Okay, they're getting more and more green lights to do whatever they want. Okay, so they already have Palantir set up in different cities. LA was one of the cities, but I just wanted to go into New Orleans because they mentioned it twice. Okay, in both videos. All right, but then they talking about, so yes, NOPD used Palantir in the past, but their use ended in 2018. They're right. Okay, ain't no way. Okay, so it says they have a new surveillance tech is still in play in New Orleans, not by Palantir. Okay, whatever. All right, but yeah, man, let's go here. Let's get back to the book of Psalm 64. All right, so this Psalms, all right, 64. I'll start back at verse 2 again. All right, Psalm 64 and 2 in the AMP says, hide me from the secret counsel and conspiracy of the ungodly, from the scheming of those who do wrong. Okay, so this is all the scheme. This is all the psyop. Okay, this is nothing but a psyop for them devils to push, all right, their agenda to roll out more DPI. Okay, it said, who have sharpened their tongue like a sword, they aim, all right, venomous words as arrows to shoot from ambush, okay, at the blameless. Suddenly they shoot at him without fear. And see, ultimately they want to make it to where they can demonize the tribes, all right, but ultimately, they want to demonize the prophets, man. And this is why, they fight, to link us with Islamic extremists. Okay, Vocab was on it. You had the guy, all right, they had their channel. He looked like, an Ishmaelite, but he was putting these little short videos up. He was breaking down guns, and then he'll preach, okay, for about 7 minutes and say Yahweh name, okay, because ultimately they want to link us, okay, to the propaganda. You see, that's one of his end game goals, is to link us with, okay, this what they call Islamic extremists. Okay, it says to shoot from ambush at the blame, and suddenly they shoot at him without fear, and they don't have any fear, that they're just lying. Okay, like they don't have no fear of a higher power. Okay, a righteous higher power that judges in the earth. Okay, these niggas just getting ready to lie. Okay, and it said they encourage themselves in their pursuit of an evil agenda. Yeah, so they're hyping each other up to go forward with this, to do this, to try this. Okay, they talk of laying snares secretly. They say, all right, who will discover us, man? You know, and they got so much, you know, going on at the same time. Okay, that the normal person, all right, can't keep up. You see, but there's a spirit, okay, that the Lord has on his men. There's a spirit that the Lord has, you know, on the internet in general to expose this devil, man. Okay, so he's been, you know, his agenda has been brought to the forefront. Okay, so us being in the light, we're just watching him roll out the agenda. Okay, we know what the agenda is according to the scriptures, man. So we're watching this man roll out that agenda. Okay, but to the masses, you know, he's still in the shadows. They can't put two and two together. Okay, it said they devise acts of injustice, saying, we are ready with a well-conceived plan from the inward thought. All right, for the inward thought in the heart of a man are deep, mysterious, unsearchable, man. So this man is deep into his subtlety. He's deep into, you know, these schemes and these plans and these plots. Okay, but he's found out and he's being called out. And see, Esau is on trial. Okay, and he's steady committing crimes. Okay, as he's on trial. The Bible, all right, the authority of Yahweh by Shema Shai through the prophets has this man on trial. You know, he's still trying to pull this off. Okay, showing you that this man is hardened. Okay, he said, but the Most High will shoot them with an unexpected arrow, man. That's this war, and that's Yahweh Shai. Suddenly they will be wounded, so they will be caused to stumble. Their own tongue is against them. Okay, even AI exposes them, man. Even their own people, okay, well, these alternative platforms is exposing them, man. You know, so this devil, you know, his secrecy has been wounded. Okay, his deception, all right, has been wounded. Okay, it says all who gaze on them will shake, all right, the head in scorn. Then all men will fear the Most High's judgment. They will declare the work of the Most High, and they will consider and wisely acknowledge what he has done. The righteous will rejoice in the Lord and take refuge in him. All the upright in heart will glory and offer praise, man. You know, because this is going to be, all right, an occasion, okay, to rejoice when this man is finally removed from power and judged. Okay, and this is what it's all building up to. Okay, you go all throughout the scripture that speaks about, okay, the wickedness that this devil is doing in real time, but it always leads to a judgment. You see, it always leads to a judgment, man. You know, you go all throughout the scriptures. Okay, maybe it's a lesson I do individually, how it all leads to a judgment. Everything that this devil got going on. Once he get through with all the madness and the fiasco and this and that and over here and over there, and once he get through with all that, he still got to deal with that judgment that's lurking and waiting on this devil, man. Okay, so that's the point, you know. Lord will, all right, you brothers, all right, and you sisters was edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful and Solomon.